All right, first thing we're divide by -3. Yep. All right, so the first significant difference between this and what we had been doing previously, solving by completing the square, that problem we did on the side here, is that it's not equal to 0, it's equal to y. All right, this allows for all possible values of y, not just the y value equal to 0. All right, so y over -3 is equal to x squared minus 6x minus 4. Next step, add the 4. Isn't it y over -3? What? No, not in this case, because that's only, like, if you're thinking of the activity from yesterday, that's only when you're finding the roots. Right? If we're putting it in vertex form, we leave it as y. And that's a very important distinction, right? So understanding the difference between why it would be equal to 0 under one situation and why it would be equal to y in the other situation, that's very important, and probably the most important thing. All right, so that's a top shelf question right there. All right, so x squared minus 6x, I need to complete the square. All right, so I write it a little bit differently when I do it this way. I put the blank, I make a little note just for your benefit that what's going in the blank is going to be b over 2 squared. So what am I chucking in the blank? A 9 plus 9. So I add that to both sides. So we're looking at y over -3 plus 13 equals, the whole point of this, again, whether it's to find roots or to get it into vertex form, is to complete a perfect square trinomial to make it factorable in such a way that it can be written as a binomial squared. X minus 3 squared. All right. So our first major difference was that it's equal to y, not 0. Our second major difference is we're not looking to take square roots. All right, so you're not putting a radical over this. At this point, your only job is to get y alone. All right? And generally what happens is when you go through that process, it's going to naturally work itself into the appropriate form. All right? So I'm going to subtract a 13 from both sides. That's going to give me a y over -3 is equal to x minus 3 squared minus 13. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by a -3. So I'll just write it like this. And just run through with that -3. So we're looking at y equals -3 times x minus 3 squared plus, because we're taking that -3 and it's going to the binomial and it's also going to the -13, giving us a 39. All right. So we can analyze this equation. I mean, we can go down a list and a bunch of different things. We know that there's a vertex. Where's that vertex? 339. All right. I could talk about stretch.
Wait, why isn't 3 not -3?
It's always the opposite of the middle sign. Right? That's because the original form already has the negative sign in it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we have a stretch factor of 3, opens upward or downward? Downward. All right, and what's my shift?
To the right.
Right 3 and 39 up. So up 39.